And what does it say about a country when adult men are afraid to become teachers in elementary schools? And that those who do have to put up with constant surveillance and close inspection of their actions all the time. This is certainly not the country that most Americans want to live in, but more and more it is the country we do live in. A group of us who had seen panics and hysterias before realized that this was going to be a big one. And we got together a group of civil libertarians from ACLU, lawyers, women who had been suffered incest. The legislators in the State House resented the fact that they had to have hearings. We filled that day with speakers, the former head of Child Services in Massachusetts, top scientists, top civil libertarians. We took the whole day, and the legislators were clearly furious that they had to sit through this testimony which presented information in conflict with what they really wanted to do, which was to get these laws passed as soon as possible, and so they could raise the banner that they were the true crusaders for children. Under those circumstances, as many of you had this experience, we were ignored and treated quite rudely, to tell you the truth, despite our respect that we showed these legislators, respect that they did not deserve. We issued this call. It kind of went nowhere. And after continuing to work on this for about a year or so, this is 1999 to 2000, as these laws were coming in, we were eventually, our effort dwindled and kind of disappeared. And my own feeling was, hey, we did what we could. You know, we don't have any popular support for what we're doing, really, and throughout the society. Let's hope for the best, and I'm going to get back to trying to stop the Iraq War. However, as you know, through the 2000s, the first part of the 21st century, the situation continued to get worse and worse. And personally, I didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. To tell you the truth, dealing with sex offenders and these types of issues and sexual abuse and all this was the last thing on earth I ever in my life dreamed I would ever get involved with. I wanted to stay clear of this. I felt my whole life had been trying to deal with the welfare of children, to fight for human rights, gay rights, women's rights, all this type of stuff. And here, I was on the other side, at least perceived as being on the other side. I didn't want to touch this stuff. But by 2007, some other folks felt the same way. I said, we just really have to do something. And so, only because I couldn't live with myself, by doing nothing, we issued a new call. This time, when we tried to get more and more people from mainstream organizations involved, it was much more difficult. People who had joined with us originally 8 years earlier didn't want to touch this anymore. It would endanger their organization. It's not that they agreed with the laws or anything. It's just that this was too dangerous to work on. And they could get in trouble with their jobs, with how people were going to look at them. Because by now, by 2007, the paranoia, the panic had really become firmly entrenched, as many of you remember. And so we issued a new call. We issued it, this was it here, July 10th, 2007, so 7 years ago, in the political newsletter Counterpunch. And it was called An Urgent Call to Support the Well-Being of Children and the Rights of All of Us. It started, there is today in our country a growing threat to our legal system, to the rights of all of us, to the quality of life of children, and to common sense. This threat has been fanned by prosecutors, nurtured by the media, and ignored by those who usually speak out against such dangers. In its most narrow sense, this threat can be defined as the particular approach to sexual deviance embodied in ever more draconian laws against all behaviors labeled sex offenses, including those committed by minors, and in the sex offender registries of every state and federal government. In this approach to sex offenses, slander, hysteria, and demonization often replace reason, solid research, and proportionality. But more broadly, the danger consists of an all-out assault on fairness, on the reputations of some of our most caring people, on necessary social relationships, and on our critical ability to confront the deepening crisis, the deepening social paranoia of 21st century America. The present crusade is spreading fear and loathing across our society. Our society does not need more fear and loathing. It needs trust and dignity and redemption. At present, there is no telling how far this self-destructive approach to social problems related to sexuality can go, unless people capable of courage, compassion, and common sense stand up to stop it and to turn our country's attention to real solutions to our problems. Here are people who are not on the registry, who see these draconian laws as posing a threat to all of us because of what they're doing to our culture, to our society, to our relationships with each other. I was personally stunned that immediately hundreds and hundreds of people from around the country signed this thing publicly. We did not allow people on the registry to sign it because we wanted to show that there was support in mainstream society for common sense. And hundreds of people signed it, other people signed it privately. 2,500 to 3,000 people within the first year signed this thing, which was a very strong document, even a little bit stronger than our present mission statement. And people were coming out of the woodwork. And what happened was we expected our project to just consist of this statement, get it out there, get these names out there. We had Dr. Fred Berlin, the great sex researcher at Johns Hopkins, sign it. We had Howard Zinn, the great historian, sign it. We had all kinds of wonderful people signing it, as well as mothers and daughters of people on the registry, and people from all walks of life, which is what we have here today. And what became clear is that there was a call going on for some type of national umbrella organization that would pull these local and state efforts together and give them some type of coherence. And so a number of new affiliates, state affiliates, were set up. In addition to that, of course, as soon as we issued this, we were people who had no experience in terms of sex offender treatment or what the lives of people were like or anything else. We were inundated with phone calls and letters. Here is my situation. And what started to hit home is whereas we were kind of dealing with this on a theoretical level and on a legal level, on a cultural level, we started to get a sense of the amount of suffering that was going on out there. And we really were we were inadequate to deal with that as we are today, really, most of the time.